Welcome back, everybody, to the Flagrant Talk Sports Podcast. It's Moses here, alongside his co-host Isaiah Gessner.
What's up, everybody?
Feels good to be back, and
Mm-hmm.
today we are doing with the season already in start, but with the
Yeah.
week one of the season right around the corner, coming up this Saturday. We had to get out some college football for you guys. We're
Mm-hmm.
going through all the conferences and giving our conference winner, our
Mm-hmm.
predictions, breaking down a little bit, not exactly a college football playoff look, but based
Mm-hmm.
off of this, you can kind of see what we're getting at. So
Yeah.
that's what we got for you guys today.
Yeah, we're excited to do it. We'll go through all of the conferences. Time may vary on the amount we spend on every conference. So if
Yep.
you're a fan of like the Conference USA and we don't spend as much time on you as an SEC, it's just the way the cookie crumbles. But we want to cover every conference so you can at least hear a little something about wherever your team is playing.
Mm-hmm.
And starting this off, we're doing it right out the gates. The SEC, a conference that is dominant in the college football landscape, and that to start this season hosts 9 of the top 20 ranked schools in the country, as you can see here on the screen. And we'll go through this with every conference, obviously, as we make our picks. But Moses, I'll lay the weight on you to start this. Who do you have winning the SEC this year?
Yeah, this is probably the toughest time to pick a conference champion out of this conference because of the realignment, because of all the
Mhm.
movement, and because of all the talent. This is the most talented conference in the country, as shown by the rankings. For me, there is really three teams that I can see coming away with the conference, and that is
Mhm.
Georgia, Texas, and Alabama. Ole Miss is right there on the cusp, but
Mhm.
I have them in the tier below. Out of those three teams, though, I'm going with the team that is on, I think, a return comeback, absolute just dominant season awaiting them, and that is the Georgia Bulldogs. Their only loss of the season last year was to Alabama, and they ended up missing out on the college football playoffs as Bama jumped in. Not saying I'm mad at the Bama Michigan matchup that we got, but Georgia being in is another story for another day. So I think Georgia's coming out hot. Kirby Smart and company, looking ready to go, looking ready to fire on all cylinders.
Mhm.
Texas was they were giving me, I got the orange on for Boise, obviously, but they're giving me my mind a little bit of a pull. But I just first year in the conference, I think it's going to be a feel out year for them. I think
Yeah.
they will make the college football playoffs, but I don't have them winning it just yet.
I am joining you. I have Georgia as well. I think you could make the argument on paper, at least, that they are the most complete team in all of college football.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ohio State is a team that's in that mix too. But you look at Georgia position by position, not just pro talent, but elite college talent already.
Yep.
Headlined by Carson Beck, who will undoubtedly be in at least Heisman conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the reason I went with Georgia, kind of similarly to some of the stuff you said, Texas is my number two.
Yep.
And I wanted to put Texas at one, but the injuries to both of their running
Yeah.
backs, CJ
Huge.
Baxter and Christian Clark,
Mm-hmm.
that's massive. Obviously, you have Quinn Ewers, you have plenty of weapons there in that receiving court. And it's not like their run game is shot now, but
Mm-hmm.
you're missing CJ Baxter is a dog. And to not just lose your starting back, but to lose that backup, that number two guy too,
Yeah.
it elevates that third stringer into a role that he was not expecting.
Mm-hmm.
And could he come out and ball? Absolutely. You're playing at Texas University, so
Yep.
there's no doubt that you can ball. But
Yep.
I think for me, that's one of those things. The big thing with Bama, you know, it's the first year without Nick
Post
Saban.
Saban era. Yep.
It's the first year post Saban, and That does not mean that they won't win the SEC in their first year without him.
For
They have a
sure.
roster that's capable. Jalen Milroe, we know what he can do at the quarterback position, a future NFL guy. But I just have less question marks about Georgia. And I think
Yep.
that is, for me, the difference maker. Um, and they're going for that dynasty, man. Obviously,
100%.
winning back-to-back rings. There, if you can win, it would be 3 and 4 years, right?
I believe yeah.
Because it was 21, 22 Michigan last year. You win 3 and 4 years, that's a dynasty.
Yep.
And to do it at the college level, obviously, is very impressive. It puts you up there with that Saban era Bama team. Um, so that's who I've got. Ole Miss is not a team to count out.
For
I
sure.
think a team that'll make the college football playoffs.
Mhm.
LSU on that cusp, I think is capable of making the college football playoffs as well. So by default, you can't count them out. But
Yeah. Some of
they
these teams are gonna knock each other out though, is the
they are.
thing, just based on their schedules. There are
Hmm.
too many talented teams in this conference. There's gonna
Yeah.
be some high value games throughout the season that are really
Hmm.
gonna impact the standings. So
Yeah, and that's the thing with a conference like this. All of those teams are going to cannibalize each other. And
mhm.
I think if your argument for Texas is something, it's that hey, we're playing Georgia, but we're playing them in Texas.
Yeah,
Maybe that's your argument
for
is,
sure.
we get the one up on them. We get to
Mm,
play them at home, and
mhm.
that's your advantage.
Yeah.
But dude, yeah, this conference is going to eat itself alive because it's not just those 3 teams we said. Ole Miss, LSU is in there.
Yeah.
You then have A&M you can't count out. You then have
Mhm.
Tennessee who you can't count out. You have Missouri, you have Oklahoma who is always in the mix. Like
Yeah.
it's just so deep that
Mhm.
there's so many teams. The bottom feeders in the SEC are still at minimum competent programs that you can't just like, oh, whatever. Like,
100%. It
you
it
know,
may be it may be the team that gets the hottest going into the back half of the
exactly.
season and just wins out. They might have had 1 or 2 tough losses to a ranked opponent earlier
Yeah.
in the season, but they go on this streak where they look like the best team in the country 5, 6 weeks in a row.
Yep.
Do they make it into the like it this conference is it's an
It's so tough.
exciting watch for
It
sure.
absolutely. I mean, you just have to tune in because really, like, you have Vanderbilt, who I would say is the bottom feeder. I
Yep.
don't think that's a uh hot take there. You have,
Mhm.
but then you have Mississippi State, Arkansas, who I would have lower on there. But you can't like laugh at Arkansas and be like, we'll ignore them. That's an easy game for my Crimson Tide. We'll dominate them.
Yeah.
You should
Taylor
win.
Green. Taylor
Yeah,
Green
but you
quarterbacking.
you can't roll your eyes and be like, okay, this is a win. It
Yep,
should be, but in the SEC, you're going to have to deal with competent programs week in and week out. And
for
and
sure.
as a football fan, I love to see it, especially as
100%.
someone whose team isn't here.
Yep. I can
They're
sit back and watch. Yep.
exactly, exactly. I get to enjoy it. So really excited for this year. I, I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia won another chip.
Yep.
And for
They're
that
my
reason,
favorite. Yeah.
I think they would be mine as well. So for that reason, I've got them
Mhm.
coming out of the SEC. But we'll move over now to the Big Ten. Looking at the
Big
programs
10.
here in
Yep.
the Big Ten, got it all set up. I'll ask you again. Who have you got?
Another very interesting conference. Realignment, of course, swept over this conference as well.
Yeah.
The team I'm gonna go with this time, though, has been at the top of this conference since I was probably born. I got the Ohio State Buckeyes
Yep.
winning the Big Ten. Their first loss of the season last year came against the eventual national champs in Michigan. And because last year the Big Ten still had the 2 divisions, they unfortunately didn't get a rematch in the big championship game. And
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State got screwed out of a college football playoff spot, kind of similar to Georgia.
Yeah.
But I think this team is on paper the best team in the conference. I won't be surprised if Oregon comes in and wins it because they are just so damn talented.
Mhm.
But similar to Texas, first season, I'm a little bit worried about the adjustment to travel and game times and body clocks. You know, the players are human, so they're not. This is NCAA football. There's going to be
Yes.
effects.
Yes.
So I'm a little bit more comfortable with the Buckeyes winning the Big Ten.
We go 2 for 2 here.
Mm.
Kind of referenced it already with Georgia. I think Ohio State is at least in that conversation for best roster on paper in all of college
Period.
football.
Yeah.
They are also on top of it returning a lot of guys. Like it's not a massive turnover. They made it clear they got to spend money. They they want to spend that NIL. They want to retain players. They want to, get players in the transfer portal. They want to be that super attractive destination that can win a championship. And
Mhm.
they've done that. They're holding on to those pieces. Um, I guess if you want to nitpick one thing, the offensive line might be a little shaky, but it's not shaky enough for me to be that concerned.
Yeah.
Um, Oregon, kind of talking about them, as you said, we're done no favors. Their schedule is tough. It is a
Mhm.
welcome to the Big Ten moment.
Mhm.
Even having going against your Boise State Broncos that second week, that's a team you could argue, and we'll get to them, that could win their conference. You get them in your non-con instantly. Then you've got to go to Oregon State. You obviously play at home against Michigan State. You play at home against Ohio State. You go to Michigan, to Wisconsin, to UW, or at home against UW. It's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
You're walking into a shaky schedule, but as you said, the roster is incredibly strong. Penn State, not a team you can count out as well. I think is
Mhm.
more than capable of winning the Big Ten. Um, and I want to include Michigan in this mix. I know a lot of people have kind of not discounted them in a sense of like they're not going to make the playoffs or anything like that. But post Harbaugh, similar to Saban,
It's
we'll
just
see.
scary.
It,
It's a unknown. We
yeah.
don't know what their schemes are gonna look like. We don't
Mhm.
know how everything's gonna fit together, how their training camp like it's a
Mhm.
whole new game. It's a whole new team.
And all of the out of non-football related things that the program is going through with the investigations. And I mean, it's following Harbaugh with the Chargers. He's still getting asked about it. I, I'm not discounting Michigan, but I feel like in a conference this competitive,
Yeah.
it really does come down to some of those just, all right, here are these little nicks that go against your program. And for that, I'm going with the Buckeyes. But
Yeah.
capable of producing 4 college football playoff teams, probably,
Mhm.
maybe 5, but at minimum, I'd see 3 to 5 is their ballpark here at the
Yeah.
end of the year.
Yeah.
Um, moving on to the next conference, one that is going to be a lot of fun to watch as always. We've got the ACC, and it's already been crazy.
Mhm.
Already, this has been crazy, and this is where, what are we doing?
Top left. There we go. Oh,
Got it. Okay,
there we go.
we couldn't
There
be
we go.
more back.
Yep.
Um, the disadvantage, I'll be totally honest, of doing this video, I thought Florida State would handle business against Georgia Tech, and this season came in hot. They said, yeah, it's not going to be like that. So they did lose a game, and they were by a lot of people the favorite. Do you still believe in Florida State to win it? Have you kind of sobered up past them? What are you feeling?
So prior to the game, I was on the fence about Florida State. They were
Mhm.
my pick to win this conference, but after the performance, I'm pulling off the Seminole train and I'm going to a little bit of a different spot down in Florida. I'm going to Miami, the
Yes.
Hurricanes. Cam Ward season. I'm really excited for this Miami team. They improved in a lot of areas
Mhm.
through the transfer portal, through their recruiting class.
Yes.
This team is very exciting. Clemson, also another team that I wouldn't be mad at if you picked, but I don't. Their Dabo is he's a little bit stuck in his ways, which is probably a shot to the foot, and I can't rock with the Tigers, so I have Cam Ward and the Hurricanes winning the ACC.
Moses, we are 3 for
Wow.
3. I've got
Wow.
the Miami Hurricanes as well. Um, I was just going through kind of I always like to gauge opinions. I come up with my own, but I like to feel what do other people think? And there were people calling the Hurricanes a paper tiger. They're gonna go here. They get overhyped. They're a program that hasn't been, that strong. But Cam Ward, as you said, loved him at WSU. Saw a
Mhm.
lot of football out of him at
Spark
WSU.
plug. Yeah.
Spark plug, could have gone pro, opted to stay, opted to transfer, and elevates Miami to a new level. Um, I would love to see them get this win over Florida to
Yeah.
start the year. I think that could be a great tone setter for your season. Obviously, with that being a rivalry. Not only did they bring in Cam Ward, they brought in running back Damian Martinez out of Oregon State. They improved their wide receiver core. And then Tyler Barron from Louisville as an edge and safety, Michelle Powell. So you're adding some new talent there as well on both sides of the football. You mentioned it with Dabo. I considered Clemson. They're returning 14 starters, including
Mhm.
their quarterback. So you have that meshing and that gelling,
Yeah.
but he refuses to adapt to the times. He will not do it. He will not use the transfer portal. He will not do that. And I think the greats, you have to adapt or you
Yeah.
have to get out like Saban did,
Mhm.
where Saban made it pretty clear about how he felt about NIL. He adapted to it. He did what he could, and it I think for him kind of became too much. He was like, "I'm out." Dabo is not leaving, so
Yep.
you need to adapt.
Who was just Dan? Is it the Oregon coach Lanning?
Yes. Yep.
Lansing was just talking about this the other day about
Mhm.
how you gotta try to be the best at the NIL thing in this day and age if you want to be the best team.
Mhm.
Like it's what's gonna get you players. It's what's gonna get you transfers. It's how it works. It's whatever your opinion may be on it. It's how it is. So either adapt or fall behind.
I totally agree. I 100% agree because yeah, we can feel however we want to feel about NIL. You can feel some type of way. I can feel some type of way. Dabo can feel some. It doesn't matter who you are. If you're a fan, if you're a coach, if you're a player, it does not matter. At the end of the day, the reality is the reality. And you adapt to it or you fall behind. That's it. I don't get being so, no, this is the way. I'm doing it this way no matter what. I'm not going to listen to anyone. I'm not compromising. Okay, then you will get passed up. And I think for me, that's the tough thing with Clemson is they're fully capable. And again, returning all the starters is great. But I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's just kind of my feeling.
Yeah.
Um, when it comes to Florida State, it is tough because
They
it's
can
like,
still bounce back and they could
yeah,
still just as well win it.
I
So I
just,
I could I could be jumping ship way too early, but
yeah,
I just most conference champion winners are not losing their first game of the season.
to
Thankfully
Georgia
it was
Tech.
week 0. Yeah, to Georgia Tech, who is a great program, a great
Yeah,
football
yep,
program. Like it
yep.
wasn't a total, but that's a major upset to start the
Hmm.
season. So
That is.
I'm off. I'm off.
I totally agree. I was high on DJ the start of his career, and I've soured up. And I think that game against Georgia Tech, watching it, was everything I've come to sort of dislike about him as a player. Nothing against him as a person, but everything that I've come to like sober myself up on in terms of expectations was shown in that game.
Yeah.
And again, you can't be a conference champ and be playing to down to that level.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Georgia Tech, but you should beat them.
Mhm.
Like at the end of the day, I am curious. I will say, want to show a little love to SMU, their first year in the ACC.
Mhm.
I'm just curious to see how it transfers over.
Yeah.
Like, good roster, good team. And I'm curious to see them now in this elevated competition. So
Yeah.
worth noting there.
Mhm.
But yeah, we're 3 for 3. Can we make magic go 4 for 4 in the Big 12? Another very competitive conference. Who have you got getting it done?
Start us off this time, man.
Okay.
Who you got?
This was difficult. This was really difficult for me. I went back and forth.
Hardest one, I think, for me.
I totally agree because there's this weird like bunching at I really could see 4 teams winning it. But I went with the popular pick. I went with the Utah Utes.
Okay.
Cam Rising coming back, being healthy off of that knee surgery. I think manning the helm, we saw what Utah could do, but this was so difficult. I also think we've talked about it with other teams. It's their first year out of the Pac-12. Rest in peace. Will
Mhm.
that lead to anything? Obviously, the comp in the Pac-12, you were facing the UW last year, Oregon, competitive, really good programs, but this is a brand new landscape. That is now the reality they're living in. I do feel strongly about Utah's defense too. I think they could at least be in competition for the best in the conference.
Mhm.
I think you could have a broader discussion about if they're legitimate contenders or if they're just a playoff level team, a team that can win the Big 12. Um, One thing worth noting that I thought was interesting, if Utah and UCF play in the conference championship, they would play back-to-back games because they also play each other in the last game of the
Wow.
regular season.
Yeah.
So, just worth noting. We'll see if that happens, but I figured that would be kind of interesting if it played out that way.
We'll
But
see if the national champs can go undefeated again.
mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
I
National champs, man.
um first difference today on
Okay.
our picks. I'm sticking with my trend of not trusting the new teams and the new conferences,
Mm-hmm.
but I love the Utah pick. They're probably my second team behind the
Say it.
Cowboys. I have the Oklahoma State Cowboys
Mm-hmm.
coming out with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, self-inflicted, but they are definitely gonna try and silence some of the outside of football things that were going on with their play on the field.
Yeah.
They have one of the best rushers in the nation in Ollie Gordon III. Lots of returning starters on the offensive side of the ball. And they'd actually play Utah at home.
Mm-hmm.
I know that there's no more what's it called? Divisions within the whatever it, but
Yeah.
um so they might play again, and I hope they do. I that's kind of what I'm envisioning is that Oklahoma State beats them in the regular season, but they will get
Mm-hmm.
another rematch the Big 12 championship. But I just there's something about the new teams with me. I'm not comfortable picking them yet. So I love Cam Rising coming back. Utah top, I think they were 7-10 defense in the
Mm-hmm.
nation last year. So love your pick, but I'm
Yeah.
going with the offense in Oklahoma State.
I love that you said that. Oklahoma State is my number 2.
Yeah.
And I do have on here as well that matchup at Oklahoma State, similar when we talked about Texas and Georgia, that could be the difference maker.
For
They're
sure.
really good. Like that could boil down to who wins. I will say I do want to show a little love to Kansas State. This is not a program we're overlooking.
Yeah, they're that 3 for me easily.
Yes, I agree with you. I've got them 3. I'd then probably slot UCF there at 4 is mine. But again, this is a competitive conference. We'll see. And it's tough picking Utah because some of my reasoning, as I said before, was that we'll see. I don't know. They have to adjust to a new conference.
Yep.
The Utes, it really is that defense and it's Cam Rising returning
Mhm.
that gives me that little bit of confidence. But they're going to be throwing haymakers.
Yeah.
Even Kansas, I'm not saying they'll win it, but that is a fun team to watch.
The
Like,
one sorry. No, I love the Jayhawks as well.
yeah,
One you haven't highlighted yet that I love, heated
mhm,
up at the end of last season is the Wildcats, Arizona
yep,
coming over. Um,
mhm,
this like Utah's defense, obviously, yes, top 7, 10 in the nation last year, was in the Pac-12. The Big 12's mediocre teams compared to the Pac-12's mediocre teams, it's a clear landslide of a
mhm.
difference, I would say. So we'll see if it can hold up, but I'm excited to see how the Cards play.
Yeah, I again, and that's the thing. It's like the depth of the conference, and we'll at least touch on them because everyone else is going to touch on them. Colorado, we'll see what they can do. I just don't see them being this great, like taking this big time step. And I will say, to Dion's defense, a lot of people are celebrating the failure of last year. Not that at the start of the season, but the rest of the season, celebrating the failure. This is a rebuild. He is taking over a program that was not good. It's not
Had
a
them ranked for a couple
had ha,
weeks in the
yeah,
season,
like
and
beat TCU. Had a like I just don't understand this dancing on the grave of like, oh yeah, we told you so. It's year one. Like
yeah,
if in 5 years from now Dion is still the coach and they don't have a winning season and it's like, man, this is getting ugly, more power to you.
yep,
But you can't, ignore the facts. But it's so weird to see the people celebrating after one season of him taking over a program. That wasn't great. He didn't inhabit Bama.
yeah.
Like, it's Colorado. So, just to throw that out there because I know they're a team people love to rag on. Um, but yeah, we our first difference there, that's the power 4. We'll move over to the group of 5, starting this off with the American Conference. Bam. Who have you got winning?
I have a team that I think legitimately could make the college football playoffs, and that is the Memphis Tigers. Their offense is ballistic. They have experience coming back. This this team is I don't really have words to describe
Yeah,
this Memphis team, but they are a legitimate hopeful for the college football playoffs out of these group of 5 teams.
yeah,
Probably the number 1, I would
yeah.
say.
I agree with you. I have Memphis as well. And I will say, to this conference's credit, you could argue it's the best group of 5 conference. There
Yeah.
are 4 teams here that are really good. I've got Memphis at 1.
Mhm.
I think UTSA is going to give them a run for their money.
Really
I
good
think
team.
Tulane is going to. I think USF is not a team to count out. I'd have them at 4, but not a team to just ignore. Um, I think Seth Hennigan coming back at Memphis, still being the guy. He's a stud. They added plenty of talent in the transfer portal as well. They were active. Clemson, they were active. They acquired. Sorry, just another jab. But they added new talent. I love it. They re-upped, and I love Tulane. I think there's a world where they do finish two. But what I will say is they lost a lot of talent. They lost
Mhm,
their head coach.
mhm.
And for me, those are just when I talk about big question marks. Yes, you are a very good program. Yes, I think you're top three in a very solid group of five conference, but those question marks are a little too big. So for that, I agree with you. I think Memphis's offense is explosive, and they're going to be a really fun team to tune into. Um, Also, one thing I wanted to include, I'll reference it a little later when we get to them. I want to see more group of five conferences duke it out with their heavyweights. I want to see Memphis take on App State. I want to, like, especially now that the playoffs are 12 teams,
Yeah.
that 12th team, it's easier if I'm Liberty to say, hey, I deserve a spot. I beat Memphis and I beat App State, and here I am.
Mhm.
Like,
And
I've
I
beat
won the
these.
conference, yeah.
Exact yes, and I went undefeated in conference play. Like, because Liberty, and we'll get to them, is disrespected a lot because it's like, look at your conference. Kind of similarly to Gonzaga in college basketball,
Mhm.
where it's like, well, look at your conference. Like, yeah, you went undefeated, but
At what cost?
yeah, like you should have. The
Yeah.
bar was you going undefeated. Anything less than that was disappointing.
Mhm.
So I think it's good. I want to see these group of five teams play against each other with their best teams. Um, but I'll get to the matchup down the road that I'm referencing with that. But next up, we'll move to the Sun Belt with its East and West, talking about App State. Who do you got winning this, Mo?
I went back and forth, a couple teams here, but I settled again, sticking to my trends, offense and Texas State with the 15th best offense in college football last season out of the Sun Belt. Quite unheard of. This team, they have a lot of returners. They upgraded through the transfer portal because of their success last season. Obviously, like you hinted on, App State is always in the runnings. Coastal
Hmm.
Carolina, last few seasons, has been up and down. James Marshall,
Yeah,
with their undefeated run. But I got the Bobcats pulling out in the Sun Belt West and eventually the conference championship.
we are on the same page yet again. As you said, a great offense last year, top 15, that I think got even better.
Yeah.
So do with that what you will. This
Yep.
is going to be another really strong year
Uh
at
huh.
off on the offensive side of the football. Their defense isn't stellar, but I also think it upgraded. They added some nice transfers there to help bulk up in that department. Also, they've just got a little bit of an easier path.
Yeah.
The East is more difficult,
Yes.
just point blank for App State, who I have it to. A lot of people have App State winning. You're not crazy in doing so, obviously.
I was
So,
close, but
yes,
yeah.
that's a great team. And App State is a school that constantly punches above their weight. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, we will play up to the level of a team we're playing. We
I
don't care.
love them in bowl season.
Yes.
They're always a team I'm looking out for during my
Mhm.
bowl picks because
Yeah.
they do always find a way to play up to that level. So
Mhm. Yeah, like, we don't care if we're ranked. We don't care if the team we're playing is ranked. We don't care if we're playing Texas State, if we're playing JMU and they're undefeated. We are going to go out there and at minimum, we are going to give you a challenge
mhm.
every time. And I think that's what makes a team like that dangerous. They're the Miami Heat of college football. It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
We don't care what seed we are. We don't care what we're ranked. We don't care where we are in the standings. We're ready to squabble.
We're ready to play football.
We're ready to play football, baby.
Yeah.
So I like App State.
Mm-hmm.
The Raging Cajuns, can't count them out as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
And JMU, consistently good, solid program. Also want to give
Mm-hmm.
them a little bit of love as well.
South Alabama was a top
Mhm,
25 defense last year in the nation.
mhm.
So we'll see if they can maybe give Texas State a run for their money. Defense versus offense clashing head to head. But
Yes.
yeah.
I I think they're top 5 in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Probably would put them 5th behind JMU, but again, really quality team. Like you said, it's just gonna be fun. I know a lot of people are gonna go between App State and Texas State, but there are some other really quality teams here
Yeah.
that you can't just rule out entirely. So
Agreed.
it'll be great, but this next one holds a special place in your heart. You're repping the shirt. Feel like it's only right that you take this one away.
The coach Spencer Danielson era is in full effect, ladies and gentlemen. After coming on last season during a rocky, up and down,
Yeah.
just uncharacteristic Boise State season, Spencer Danielson came in, turned the ship around, and got us another conference title. He's coming back now with a full training camp, with a bunch of transfers, with some new coaches in the system. I'm really liking what the Boise State Broncos have been doing. Unbiased. They're starting not the USC transfer, but Maddox Madsen, the starter who took over for Taylor Green last year and ended up winning us the conference championship. I am perfectly okay with it. I know it was a shock to many people. It was a shock to myself.
Yeah.
I was I was very high on Malachi Nelson, obviously, but I trust coaches. I trust Maddox's decision making in the offense and knowing the system already, being there for a few games last season. He seemed very confident in interviews this past week, saying he expected to be the starter and he loved the battle with Malachi, and it
Good.
kind of elevated him as a player. And they're still friends, they're still respectful
Of course.
professionals about it. But that's
Mhm.
how it's got to be if you want to be a good football team. So I think everything for the Broncos is on the up. Obviously, I haven't even talked about Ashton Jeanty yet in this however long rant I've been on, but it just shows this team has a lot of upside, a serious hopeful for the college football playoffs. Oregon might put a stop to that in week 2, but we will see. But I do have us winning the Mountain West Conference, 9 returning starters on defense as well. It was definitely our downfall last year, but I think our defense is going to be a little bit more sturdy than it has been. So I'm very excited,
Yeah.
non-biased, even though I have the shirt on.
Well, I can come in and as an unbiased person, someone who didn't
Thank
go to
you.
Boise State,
Thank
I can
you.
come in and say, I agree with you, and
Awesome.
I have the Boise State Broncos winning. In my notes here, I say the safe pick doesn't mean it's the wrong pick.
Yep.
Sometimes we don't have to overthink things.
Yeah.
And that is not saying that there's not quality Mountain West teams. That's not saying UNLV isn't a good program. That
Yeah.
Fresno State could arguably have the best quarterback in the Mountain West, and
Mhm.
that you can count them out. What I am saying is I like what I'm seeing from Boise State more. I think they're going to be a great team this year. You could argue top 3 group of 5 school in the country.
Yep.
I think they're in the 3 to 5. They're in that upper echelon of those teams. Um, I think Ashton Genty will, at minimum, get some Heisman hype. At
Oh man.
minimum.
Yep.
I'm not saying he wins it, but I
Yep.
think there will be a point in the season where it's like, wait a minute. Does he have a case? Is he in that
Yeah.
top 5? Is he?
Yeah.
I would not be shocked. With Madsen, I'm really glad you touched on that as well. I think iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
If you were him, you should feel proud. You should feel confident,
Mhm.
and I expect a leap from him.
100%.
And I think with that leap, elevates the ceiling even more for Boise State.
Mhm.
So I really like the move there. A solid defense as well. Like it's just going to be a fun program
Yeah.
to watch this year.
Yeah.
And we'll see. They're not ranked to start the year. Don't be surprised if they are ranked to end it, though.
I think we sneak in, man, Maddox's confidence wasn't all from himself. He was talking highly about his teammates and how we have 6 receivers who can run around, catch a ball. We got 4 running backs who could be playing anywhere in the country right now. He was really hyping up the offensive unit, and I'm right there with them. I'm excited to see the words turn to action. So we'll
Yes.
see here on Saturday. But
Mm-hmm.
tough start to the schedule, going down to Georgia, playing them in the
Mhm.
humidity and the heat, and then we have to go to Eugene, play Oregon week 2. It's we're getting active very early
Yeah,
in the year, so
and I I guess this is kind of a fun question related but unrelated. If you were scheduling with your team and you felt like Boise State, where it's like, hey, we can win the Mountain Conference. Of course, you're going to believe that. The Mountain West Conference. We can win it. Are you team, hey, give me a couple easy ones. Let us get some wins, get some confidence, or is it, hey, let's boom, here's Oregon at Oregon. What would your philosophy be?
you know, I like the starting it off hot.
Yeah.
Because if you have that confidence that you can win the conference, and that's still a successful season, I would think, in most people's eyes, why not gun for what if we win this upset? What if we have an undefeated
Mhm.
non-conference schedule and go into the conference and we maybe drop a game, but we go 12-1, 13-1? Are we call it like why not give yourself the
Exactly.
opportunity now with the 12 expansion to make the playoff? So I'm all for it. It might
Yeah.
lead to a couple blowouts, a couple man, we were not ready for this. We just got our
Mhm.
butts handed to us. But I love the getting after it, trying
I do
to
too.
elevate your team's mark in a lot of people's eyes. So
Yeah, and it's such a big learning experience for any school, but in this case, Boise State to be like, hey, we're going to Oregon. And I think it makes the most sense for a team like Liberty, Boise State, one of those teams where, hey, we're not a favorite to make the playoffs, even with the expansion, but we're putting ourselves in a spot where if we can pull that upset off, we have a case. If we get a win at Oregon, we go undefeated in conference play, we we should be there. And
yeah,
I think that's the advantage too, where if you're beating up on weaker teams and you're winning by 30, that's awesome. Feels amazing to win by 30 points. But it doesn't really do anything for your resume
yeah,
unless you lose it.
yeah,
So I like going to Oregon. That game is gonna be a banger.
yeah. I wish
Banger.
I could attend, but
Yeah.
we'll be
That
supporting from afar.
uh-huh. That'll be a hell of an experience. But yeah, I don't want to discredit UNLV, Fresno State.
Yeah,
As I
we
said,
didn't touch on, yeah, these other teams, but lots of solid teams.
yes,
It's not going to be a walk in the park in the conference. They're
no,
going to have to. I expect them to drop a game or two here and there. I don't expect a perfect season, but they should come away with the title.
absolutely. I do think it's Boise State, Fresno State, UNLV are like right behind them. I think that's that top tier
Yeah,
of the conference.
yeah,
Then you can include like Wyoming, I think is in that mix, Air Force, Colorado State, who still genuinely one of my favorite games I've ever watched is that Colorado State Colorado game
yeah.
from last year. So fun. That
Mhm.
I watched that game in Seattle, and it was a blast. The
Yeah,
energy was great. So we'll see. But yeah, I think it's Boise State's to lose, man.
agreed.
Not
Knock
to
on wood.
yeah, yes. But we'll move on now from the Mountain West to the MAC. No Jones.
Mhm.
Mm, off to the MAC. And since you gave your take last time, I'll kick us off this time.
Sweet.
I'm doing it. I've got Miami of Ohio this time
Ah, okay.
winning a conference title. This is a tough one. They're coming off of an 11-3 season. The coaches poll that came out a couple months ago, they were voted the favorite to win. Brett Gabbert will be back as at the QB spot after having a season-ending injury last year. Great defensive spine that they've got with some of those guys. Toledo lost DeQuan Finn to Baylor, and I think Toledo similarly is that second best team in the conference. But when you're looking at nitpicking those little things that differentiate the best team and the second best team, I think that's what separates them. But it's going to be great. I love Western Kentucky. They're
Mhm.
they're not a team that you can count out. So it'll be a blast. But I've got um, Miami of Ohio getting it done this year.
We're flip-flopped. I did have Miami of Ohio,
Nice,
but I went with Toledo.
love it.
They've been a top team in the MAC the last few seasons. Their coaching staff has been the exact same the last 5 to 6
Yeah.
years, so they're doing something right in Toledo, Ohio. They did lose a considerable amount of talent, whether that was through graduation, through transfers, but I'm switching up my philosophy of not knowing. I like the
Mhm.
unknown for Toledo. I think they're coming in
Yeah.
hot. They're not the top team in a lot of people's eyes, but I think the Rockets are shooting for the stars. I got the Toledo Rockets
Yeah.
winning the MAC.
I love it. Jason Candle has kept Toledo a competitive program now
Mhm.
for years. Like they are a team year in and year out that is competitive, and that speaks to a culture that the team has, that hey, we might lose our quarterback, whoever we have step up, we trust. we
Next
we
man up.
recruited next
Yep.
man up, we've recruited them, we know how to foster them and bring them into a program where they can succeed instead of throwing them to the wolves and being like, oh well, it is what it is.
Yeah.
um I think Bowling Green is another team that will be solid, but
Very.
I think it's Miami and Toledo. I think at
Yeah.
the end of the
Those are the
day,
2.
but I gotta at least show a little love. Kent State, Ball State.
Yep.
It's not your year, but it will be. And when
Duh,
it is your
trust.
year,
We
I
have the
will be
model.
there.
We
Yes,
have the model.
we have the model. We've seen it.
Yep.
So we're locked in. Not this year. Unless you stun us. And listen, if I'm wrong about one thing in this entire video, I hope it's that.
Yep.
But yeah, I like it. I'm excited for the Miami Toledo game. I do need
Yeah.
to let me see here. They play at Toledo. Worth
Okay.
noting.
Okay.
Worth noting. So that'll be a game I'm definitely tuned into.
For
That'll be
sure.
a good. And to wrap this up, the last conference
Can you
we
close
have.
us out if you don't mind
I'll close
with
this
your
out.
first? Because I have mine, but I just wanted to see your thoughts on. I was thinking
And
Sam Houston.
listen, that's funny you say that. I've got Sam Houston taking care of business. I'm sorry, I don't have that. I wish I did, but
Yeah.
I
We
don't.
do have the model for that too.
We
But
do. We've got the blueprint. Um I I may have mentioned Western Kentucky in the last bit. My notes I realized were jumbled. They started to hybrid into each other with the Conference USA and the MAC. So
yep.
apologies if you heard Western Kentucky there. I've got Liberty.
Agreed.
I took the same note as I did with Boise about sometimes
Yeah.
the boring pick or the safe pick or the, whatever, it's still the right pick.
Mhm.
I love Western Kentucky's air raid offense. I love what they do. They let it rip. They're willing to go for
Bailey
the big
Zappi.
plays. Yeah,
Yeah.
Bailey Zappi, Patriots legend. Like
Yep.
that's what they do, and I love that. It's a hell of a lot of fun to watch, but Liberty is just the more complete program. Like,
Polished.
yeah,
Most team I have confidence in. Um,
it's the
yeah.
most boring conference in terms of picking one
Yep.
because for me, it's just like it's them, right? Like, I would be shocked if it wasn't. But this is where when I made the note earlier about I want to see group of 5 schools battling it out with their top dogs.
Yeah.
Liberty is the school I was talking about.
Yeah.
They go to App State week, let's see, 5. And I love that. I want to see more of that. I think for a team like Liberty, because of the expanded playoffs, there will be discussions about them as there have been previously in previous seasons with the school. And you have to me, prove that you can beat those other group of 5 schools because it's like, hey, if it's between us, we beat them. We edge
Yep.
them out. And not only did we beat them at App State. So I like that Liberty is doing that. I'm hoping more schools kind of take that model because I do think it's a great idea, to have that differentiator every year with the playoffs expanding. So
I agree, man. And
that'll
just more fun football games, more
yes.
matchups we haven't seen before, new maybe
Mhm.
rivalries being built. Yeah, why not?
Exactly. Yeah, do a 1-and-1. Say, "Hey, we'll go to App State, and then next year you come to us."
Yep.
Like, I wanna see more of those. I wanna see James Madison go to Boise State. Like, I want to see those games take place because, yeah, James Madison might not be a playoff team, but it's a great game against a great program, and
Yep.
I think having those, and the way basketball does it a lot is a good idea for both programs.
For
So,
sure.
but that's the video. That's what
Yeah.
we got. Let us know your takes. What conferences do you disagree with? We kind of went through Conference USA quick because I feel like it's the most boring one. It's
Mhm.
Liberty. I'd be shocked if it wasn't.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
You
we've kinda named 1 or 2 teams we'd be
yeah,
surprised by for most of these conferences. For this one, I literally can only see Liberty winning it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not to discount Western Kentucky. That's not to say, Sam Houston is a good program, but they're not that level to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Kennesaw State, everyone's favorite team to play with in NCAA football. Can they make history like everyone does in
Yep.
the game? What we shall see.
Yep.
Um, with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. We love you guys. We're happy to be back.
Uh-huh.
And of course, Moses,
Ooh, how can we forget?
we could never forget Song of the Pod. What do you got for the people?
I have a little West Side Gun for the community. Why I Do 'Em Like That
Oh
by
my
West Side
goodness.
Gun. That beat,
Dude.
that's all I need. I can't even sometimes I just lose my train of thought and I can't express what I'm feeling. There's something in here. You just gotta go listen. You
It
have to.
is so good. For
Yep.
those who know me in real life, or I guess don't know, I was about to use a crazy I'm not gonna use that one.
Yep. Okay.
I really like West Side Gun's music.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Like a lot. Like borderline obsessive.
Yeah.
Um And I've also gotten into wrestling out of nowhere. That might make an appearance on the channel. I
Mm.
don't know. TBD.
T-
But the number of wrestling references that he makes and things like that, before getting into wrestling, I was like, dude, I don't know what you're talking about, or I don't care. Now, even those lines, I'm
it's
like, I
bars.
know who that
A
is.
bar. Yeah.
Yeah, or it's like, oh, he samples this wrestler, or it's this. And so I like his music even more. Great pick, Mo.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I feel like we kind of swapped in this one because I've got one of your guys.
Ooh.
I've got Mewtwo by Ken Carson.
Uh.
Love this track.
Yep.
Beat is fire.
Yep.
Two men with great aura is who we picked.
Yep.
And it's only right in a college football video.
100%.
So listen to the tracks. Let us know
Mhm.
what you think. Let
Yep.
us know who you've got for these conferences, your hot takes, whatever you got. We'd
All of
love
it.
to hear them.
Let us know. Clear your schedules for the weekend because college football is here. I wish those of you luck who have work on Saturday. Hopefully, you can have your phone under the counter, under whatever you're
Yeah,
at, your desk,
yeah.
something. But
'Cause
please
damn,
just enjoy the legendary start of the
yeah.
2024 season.
And for my wrestling fans, we got Bash in Berlin on Saturday.
Mm.
Can't wait.
Yep.
Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, strap match. It's gonna be great. We're locked in. We're
Yep.
excited, and we
Yep.
can't wait to see you guys in the next video. We love y'all. Peace out. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Later, everyone.
Later.